welcome to the channel. In today's review, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to start off by discussing some of the main specs, and then we will transition into the various elements of the board itself. Possway advertises that this board has the capabilities to achieve up to 32 miles per hour, which is not bad at all for a board in this particular price point. The climbing grade is rated at 30%, and the max load capacity for this board is around 330 pounds.
Did you just call me Blob?
No. The board ships standard with a 280 watt-hour battery and a 10S3P configuration utilizing 18650 cells, which is very nice. In addition to shipping with a 2 amp charger, consumers can actually purchase a 5 amp charger, which is going to expedite that charging time. So now let's talk about the board and the ride feel. One of my favorite components about this board is the deck. It features a very mellow drop down and it flares out where riders plant their feet. When looking at the styling of the grip tape, I think it looks very nice for a board in this price point. The logo is not overbearing and really stands out. I also enjoy the fact that there's an error indicator so that riders know where the front of the board is. This can be particularly helpful for newer riders, ensuring that you're not standing on the board incorrectly when it's time to ride. The deck features 1 ply of bamboo and 8 ply of Canadian maple, which gives the board a very subtle flex when going over bumps and cracks and when de-weighting yourself. I found that the deck, paired with the comfortable wheels, which we'll discuss a little bit later in the review, made for a relatively comfortable ride. I want to interrupt the review for a quick second to remind my subscribers that my son and I recently wrote a children's book about our journey of learning how to ride electric skateboards. You can learn more about the book by checking out the link in the description, and it is available on Amazon and other major book retailers. Now back to the review. When looking underneath the deck, you're going to notice the 2 enclosure design, 1 enclosure for the battery and of course another enclosure for the ESC. The styling of the enclosure looks very nice for a board in this price point. The ESC shares a very useful feature, which is a battery indicator. This indicator is great for allowing riders to know where the board stands as it relates to charge. It's also very useful when charging a board, and you can just glance over at the board and see where it actually stands in the charging process. I really enjoy when board companies put these type of indicators on the board. It really just removes the guesswork when you're charging your board and you just know where you stand. A very nice feature for a board in this price point. Paired with the ESC is a screen yielding remote that houses a plethora of information that we've become accustomed to having when riding our boards. Features such as speed mode, braking mode, the speed that we're actually riding at, and an odometer. This particular ESC allows riders to not only adjust the speed mode that they're in, but also adjust the braking strength. So you can adjust whether you want the braking strength to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. I generally ride in around mode 3 because it provides a good amount of braking strength, but it's also relatively smooth as well. To me, the most interesting feature on this board is the 105mm wheels. When you look at them, you're going to get cloud wheel vibes. And this is really interesting to me because several board companies are actually producing boards that have a similar style of wheel. And many individuals like this style of wheel for a couple of different reasons, and I'll share some of the reasons. One of which is it allows riders to have a little bit more diverse terrain that they can ride on. So not only can you just ride on smooth pavement and streets, but it allows you to maybe ride on a sidewalk if you need to ride on a sidewalk that may be a little bit uneven. You can do some very light gravel and dirt type roads as well. One of the features that I just really enjoy about this style of wheel, and I've talked about this so many different times, and even other people have started to use my language associated with these wheels, is the fact that these type of wheels increase your safety margin. And what do I mean when I say increase your safety margin? Sometimes when you're riding your board, there may be an obstruction in the road and you may not be able to see it. You may not be able to carve around it. This is especially the case at night. However, with a wheel like this, it allows you to run over some things and still not fall off of your board and be relatively safe. This is particularly advantageous for brand new riders. Now, of course, wheels like this, in addition to just being safe and looking cool, they're also going to increase the comfort level, which is really important, especially for this board because this is a hub-driven board system. The trucks appear to be generic trucks, and there's nothing wrong with that with a board that is in this price point. I felt like I was able to carve and ride relatively well with this board. Like usual, I did tighten down the bushings in the truck so that I felt stable when riding at those higher speeds. So overall, I don't have any major complaints with the trucks. The acceleration and the torque, in my opinion, is about what I would expect from the industry at a board at this particular price point. Now, is this going to be the fastest board on the market? Of course not, because it's in that budget price point. However, do I think that individuals who may be new to e-skate or even some experienced riders who just want a board to ride around the city would find that the ride is dull? I don't think so. Possway advertises that the board can get up to 32 miles per hour. For someone that is my weight, I think that I would struggle to hit that top speed. But I do think that lighter riders probably can achieve that top speed of 32 miles per hour. And that's going to take us into the nitpick section. To be honest about it, there's very little to complain about as it relates to this board. There will always be compromises when you talk about a board in this price point. So overall, the most important things, of course, are safety, how does the board look, and overall performance. The one thing that I would say that was somewhat interesting that I experienced in riding this board is that the battery appeared to be going down a little bit faster than what I had expected, being at the range that is advertised for this board. Possway advertises that riders may be able to get 17 to 20 miles of range, and that's probably very achievable for lighter riders. However, what I noticed is that the battery was going down a little bit quicker than what I would expect. Now, I'm going to have to explain this with a little bit of a caveat because on the days that I was riding, it was actually pretty cold outside. We're talking like in the mid 30s to high 30s. So we all know that when you ride in those extreme type of conditions, you're not going to get the same type of performance that you would get if you were riding in more optimal conditions where the weather is in the 70s, 80s, or maybe even the 90s. And that's going to take me into my final thoughts. And guys, overall, for a board that is in this price point, we're talking around $500. There is a lot to like about this board. You're getting a board that looks pleasing to the eye. It doesn't scream or look like a board that is $500. I would say the aesthetics look very nice. I like the grip tape design. I like the logo in the middle of the board. It's not too much in your face, but it stands out, gives the board some character. As I mentioned earlier, really enjoy the battery indicator that we see on the ESC, just telling riders what their battery is, where it stands. The wheels, as I mentioned before, very nice as well. 105mm wheels help eat up those cracks and those vibrations, increases your safety margin, something that I like as well. Overall, I would say that this is a solid entry-level board for individuals or consumers looking to get a board that doesn't break the bank, wanting to get into this sport to see if it's something that they're really going to enjoy. So overall, I think this board is a solid buy for the majority of entry-level riders. If you want to learn more about this board and support the channel, please take a moment to view the links in the description. Using the links not only gives you a discount, but it also supports my e-skate content so I can continue to bring you dope content. As always, I will see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Peace.